What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update. And in this video, we're going to talk about how Nancy Pelosi, the leader of the Democrats and the House Speaker of the House of Representatives, is basically trying to impeach President Donald Trump again, but through a different method. We're also going to talk about how the Problem Solvers Caucus bill, that bill that has not one but two stimulus checks and not one but two unemployment extension updates, is within, quote, inches. And we're also going to talk about presidential executive orders to pass a stimulus check through a presidential executive order. But first, if you haven't yet, click subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos as they come out. My wife and I do all the research for you every single day so we can bring you all the information on the stimulus checks, on the election, on the virus, on related news every single day. We bring it to you in a quick, concise video. And don't forget to smash the thumbs up button or smash the like button for us down below. It really helps out our channel. Speaker of the House and leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, has announced a bill on the 25th Amendment to basically try to remove President Donald Trump from office right before the election. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi announced this morning legislation to create a commission that would allow Congress to oust the president from office using the 25th Amendment. You heard it. A day after she accused President Donald Trump of being, quote, in an altered state from his virus treatment. She says, quote, this is not about President Trump. He will face judgment of the voters, but he shows that the need for us to create a process for future presidents. Pelosi denied the timing of the legislation had anything to do with the election, and argued that setting up a commission on presidential capacity is needed to, quote, give some comfort to the people on the stability of the government. Let me know if you buy that one. Nancy Pelosi was joined at Capitol Hill by the bill author and Representative Jamie Raskin, a Democrat from Maryland, who said the virus crisis has further shown the need for a succession plan in the event the president is incapacitated. He says we need to act. In times of chaos, we must hold fast to our Constitution. The 25th Amendment is all about the stability of the presidency and the continuity of the office. Nancy Pelosi had previewed the new legislation last night, telling reporters that she would be talking about the 25th Amendment today, which allows for the vice president to become acting president if it is determined that the president is, quote, unable to discharge the powers and the duties of his office. She also said the public needs to know the health condition of the president, demanding to know his negative test for the virus before announcing he was infected last week, indicating that he may have been tested positive several days before he announced it to the United States. President Donald Trump later responded that, quote, crazy Nancy is the one who should be under observation. They don't call her crazy for nothing. You can let me know what you think down below in the comments, but it's funny how these two just try to battle each other over and over. And no kidding, Nancy's doing this right before the election. She knows what she's doing. This isn't an accident. This isn't just, coincidental timing. I mean, Nancy knows what she's doing. She's trying to do everything she can to get him out of the office. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. It's funny that they do this. They're at each other's throats, and then literally the next day they'll be like, yeah, we're working on a stimulus bill between the two of us, and, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is going to talk with Nancy Pelosi for an hour today to iron out some language details of the next stimulus package. And it's like, but wait, didn't you just say that you guys were arch enemies and you hated each other more than life itself? But yeah, we're still negotiating while we do that. So, and as crazy as that sounds, that's actually how it is in Congress, because this stuff happens all the time. The Republicans and the Democrats are basically arch enemies, and then somehow they actually come together and do actually pass bills, at least sometimes. They have passed 4 stimulus bills in the past, but this 5th one has definitely taken a little bit longer than we expected. By the way, for those that are wondering, the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says that if the president becomes unable to do his job, then the vice president becomes the president. And then guess who is next in line after the vice president? That's right, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. What? A moment of silence for everybody who just let their jaw hit the floor. Yep, I hear you. I wouldn't believe it either, but apparently that's actually the case. With it being said, within the last 24 hours, Nancy Pelosi said that she didn't want a standalone bill for the airline stimulus, even though just a few days ago they tried to pass a standalone bill for the airline stimulus. And President Donald Trump announced yesterday that they're now negotiating on a larger stimulus package and that is the way they want to go. And that's pretty much because Nancy Pelosi said that she doesn't want to pass any standalone bills, at least, for that 24 hours. Within 24 hours, she or anybody could change their mind because that's what actually happens. The Problem Solvers Caucus bill leader, who is a Republican, says that stimulus bill, the Problem Solvers Caucus bill, is within inches and needs to be worked on so that we can get that out to the American people. The Problem Solvers Caucus bill, I have said all along, is pretty much the best deal that we've had. We would receive one stimulus check now of $1,200 and $500 per dependent. And then if the pandemic continues into March of 2021 and it's still going next year, you would automatically receive another stimulus check of another $1,200 and $500 per dependent if this pandemic is still going on 6 months from now next year. Seems like a pretty fair deal, because if we're still dealing with this, pandemic 6 months from now, we're going to need more stimulus. And there's not one, but two unemployment extension updates, the same thing. Unemployment extension update now to get us through the end of 2020. And then if it's still going again in 2021 and people are still losing their jobs at record rates every single month, we're still getting over 800,000 people every single week that are losing their jobs. And now with the airlines basically, laying off tens of thousands of people, Disney laying off tens of thousands of people, and, restaurants still laying off people. And, we're starting to see all these extra companies just newly now laying off tens of thousands of people. This helps those people get some extra money in their pocket because it's not really their fault. These companies are laying off tens of thousands of workers, and there's nothing these workers can do. It's the companies that are doing it, because a lot of these companies are just down by over 50%. In fact, the restaurant industry and the airline industry have both said at certain points that they're down by 85%. 85%. And if you work for the cruise line industry, they're not even operating at all. They're literally down by 100%. There hasn't been any cruises at all in over 6 months, not a single cruise. So they don't really have a choice. It's just the pandemic that has done this, and the government needs to provide stimulus to help us get through this time. In fact, just a few days ago, like 2 days ago, right before the president, announced his crazy tweet that they wanted to stop negotiations for the stimulus package, and then the next day he said, oh, well, we still want to do that actually. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, who's the top dog at the Fed there, basically said that all the other countries on average are spending 30% of their GDP on stimulus. So basically 30% of what the economy is worth, they're spending on stimulus, 30%. And the US is only spending 15%. And we're supposed to be the richest and the greatest nation in the world. We're spending half as much in stimulus than all the other large countries are doing. So we're spending half as much in stimulus as everybody else is. And we need this so our economy rebounds faster. We don't want our economy to take years and years and years to rebound, similar to how it did in 2008 and 2009 from the mortgage crisis. The stock market took a couple years to rebound, and the economy did also. Okay, so we want a fast rebound. When this virus starts to end, we want to already have our economy back in good shape. But we need stimulus to do that. And President Donald Trump even said himself, This isn't money that we're loaning to somebody else. All this money comes back to Americans. So when they send out stimulus checks, it goes out to Americans, and Americans then spend it on their bills. They spend it on groceries. They spend it on their car payment. They spend it on American companies. Okay? When they put unemployment money into the system, it goes back into the economy. This isn't money that's owed to China or to another country. There's no interest owed on it. I mean, it's some people consider it debt and some people don't, because there's no debt that's owed. They're just giving money to the American people, to the American economy. It's not owed back. There's no debt owed back. There's no interest owed back. All the money just goes back to the Americans, to you and I, to small businesses, to large businesses, to help them keep their people from being laid off by tens of thousands of people. And we're spending half as much as stimulus as everybody else is. To circle back around to this problem solvers caucus bill deal being within inches, U.S. House of Representative Tom Reed, a Republican from New York, urged President Donald Trump and congressional leaders to continue the fight for the broad relief package rather than a piecemeal deal, saying, "We are within inches of getting this done. Let's not walk away now." Lindsey Graham, another Republican, but this time a Republican senator, is also urging both Republican senators and the president to adopt the Problem Solvers Caucus bill under their wing and use that either as the negotiating tool or actually just present that bill and write that bill in the form of what it was intended to be, and let's pass it in the Senate and then see if the House will pass it, because it already has bipartisan support, and now we're getting Republican senators on board. And remember, we need at least 13 Republican senators to pass any stimulus bill. That is, of course, unless the president decides to pass a presidential executive order, of which we're now starting to see some urgency and a lot more people calling for the president to just take it under his own hands and pass it. The president has already said that there's $300 billion sitting there in a fund from the first stimulus package. And at first, a lot of people weren't sure, but then the president passed that money, his presidential executive order, doing the same thing, but for unemployment. And he's already said that this money has already been approved by Congress, and it's sitting there in a fund from the first stimulus package. So he could just pass that through a presidential executive order by just signing his name on the line and basically reuse that fund, which hasn't been used, for stimulus checks and send them out right before the election. There's people now calling for him to do that now urgently, because time might be running thin. If he waits another week or so, he might not have enough time for the majority of people to get that before the election, and now is the time for him to do that. So we'll have to see if the president can do that. I mean, his polls are not increasing. If anything, his polls are decreasing. He's actually losing ground in the polls. So he needs to do something. He needs to do something dramatically to gain votes now, because people are already voting right now. People are already voting via mail and also in-person early voting. So he needs to do it now if he wants to get this done. He wants to get stimulus checks out to you before the election. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button for us down below if you haven't yet. It really helps out our channel. And subscribe if you're new here and you haven't subscribed yet. This way you won't miss out on new videos as they come out. We typically have videos come out at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click the bell icon next to the subscribe button if you want to be notified when we go live. And you can click on this top video to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start a business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have students that have replaced their entire 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, and I will see you in the next video.